What's going on, everyone? This is Andrew O'Connell with Pristine Capital coming at you with yet another market recap video. It is March 10th, 2021. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy this content, and I will continue to make it for you. Today we're going to go over the price action of the indices. We'll go under the hood and check out our sectors and style factors. We'll take a look at some of the trades I took, and then we'll wrap up with some options order flow. But before we jump in, quick risk disclaimer, as always, nothing in this video should be construed as investment advice or recommendations. Please follow your own trading plan, your own risk parameters, and last but not least, do not YOLO your entire account into any one of my trades. All right, so let's jump right into this price action for today. And we got some more follow through on the indices, which is awesome. So we had the S&P 500 close up 0.62%. We had the NASDAQ QQQ close down 0.29%. We had the IWM small caps close up 1.74%. And we had the Dow Jones close up 1.48%. So if we take a look here, you can see we have our downward trend lines drawn. It was pretty funny. There was somebody on Twitter the other day that I posted this chart, saying it looks like we were going to break the downtrend. And he was like, those are some creative lines you have drawn there. And it was just pretty funny because I was like, I have these same lines drawn since the beginning of this downtrend. But yeah, that's just like a funny little aside. But yeah, you can see that we actually broke out of the downtrend here for this daily candle. You can see now we're trading above the 20-day simple moving average. We even closed above this point of control here at this 38.94 level. So at this point, we were looking pretty good on the S&P 500. We definitely gave some back at the end of the day. There was some profit taking. But you can see, it definitely seems like this is more of like an uncertain trading environment, because you can see pretty much every day, there's been some profit taking off the top here. So that should be okay. If we look at our hourly chart, you can see, yes, on the hourly chart, we made it through the weekly value area completely, and now we are trading, right at this weekly value area high. So if we can break above that, that will really allow us to take this next leg up in the S&P 500. If we take a look at the Qs, you'll see it's a completely different story for the Qs. So if we look here, no, here. Yeah, so if we pull up the Qs got rejected today. So what happened, we made it all the way up to the top of the weekly value area. And let me just pull it up here. We had a nice run on the Qs, but it was with some selling. And it really just shows that, it might not be the case where, the Qs just fall off a cliff, but really there's not much interest in buying some of these, high growth, high multiple names from these institutions. So like if you look, you can see we made it all the way up to the top of the weekly value area. And at one point, it was like, oh my gosh, are we going to really run here? But it was met with some selling. We ended up closing down 0.29%. But even the Qs, definitely are looking a bit better. At least they're inside this weekly value area, and you can see they're above the point of control. Then if we look at the small caps, you can see small caps are looking pretty strong here. Today, I actually closed out my small cap calls. And if you look, yeah, the Qs made it, or not the Qs, the IWM, the small caps, they made it all the way through this monthly value area, and they actually tested above it. They ended up failing, and there was some selling into the end of the day. But this, compared to where we were, a week ago, this is looking a lot more constructive here. So this is pretty nice price action where, if you look, there's been about a full month of putting in really just a sideways base after the IWM had a really nice run in the beginning of February. So we're going to have to be on the lookout, for that next run in the small caps. Now if we look real quick at the Dow Jones, you can see Dow Jones Also looking really strong here. Dow Jones, complete breakout from this monthly value area. It actually hit this target level, or got pretty close to it before, we saw some selling. So yeah, Dow Jones and a lot of the old economy stocks looking really strong. And if we go to our heat map, we'll see pretty much the same exact thing here. So if we look at our Finvis heat map, yeah, you can see, so yesterday we got a bounce in all of the growth names. And, we had huge gains for Apple, Microsoft, Google, Amazon. Tesla was up almost 20%. Now you can see, that really was just a bounce. We had Apple down almost 1%, Microsoft down 0.58%, Amazon down 0.17%, even Tesla was down almost 8%. I think what's good, though, is that it's not like they completely retraced everything and they really slipped into the abyss. It was really just okay, there wasn't as much buying pressure on day two, and some of these just kind of fell over a little bit. So this, it doesn't look as bad as it could have looked. One thing that is kind of interesting and a little bit concerning, I guess, is, these semiconductors. This sector was definitely one of my favorites, for the months ahead. And I still think the semiconductors can do really well, but there was a heavy selling in the semis. But then you see it in all of these other areas that have been showing much more momentum. We had strength in the financials, strength in industrials, energy was strong as well. So really, overall breadth was still strong. It's just, some of those tech names, didn't make it to a day two rally. Now, if we look at our sectors, you'll see that one thing that we mentioned yesterday was, even though these sectors at the bottom of our scorecard had really big gains, none of them moved higher on the scorecard. So it really just showed, those these items down here, they were very, very oversold. And that's why they had, those huge pops yesterday. But for areas of strength, yeah, we had energy up 2.53%, regional banks up 2.32%. You can see aerospace and defense had a really strong day as well. And then the laggards, we had this Hero ETF, video games and esports down 2.62%. KWeb, the Chinese technology, down 3.5%. Cannabis, the United States cannabis, down 3.5%. So yeah, there were some big disparities in terms of which sectors are doing well and which ones were not. Then if we look at our style factors, you'll see that as well. So huge bounce back in the cyclicals, up 2.46%. High beta, also huge bounce back. Then you can see the laggards, were essentially growth and momentum that didn't make any progress for today. So if we take a look, you can see some of my trades for the day here. Basically, my goal for today was in the morning session, right at the beginning of the day, I wanted to make sure I was taking profits because, again, I saw that we were coming into resistance here. It's like with ES, it was like, all right, this is great. We're, we could potentially clear this point of control, but what happens if we just fall right under it? So I used the strength to take some profits in the morning and then also try to get rid of some trades that really were not working. So you can see here I closed out. I had some April IWM calls. Closed those out for a small winner. Win essentially closed this one out for a scratch. Lost 10 cents on this one. Win, when I'm taking a look at it, definitely looks like this one could still do well. But for a lot of these options I had traded, I was in April options. And now that we are getting closer to this March expiration, I want to be making sure that I'm trading options contracts that are a little bit further out. So I figured, let me get rid of some of these, April contracts. So yeah, Win still looks okay. But you can see there's a bunch of red candles here. But yeah, this 20-day simple moving average is catching up with price. So we'll have to see what Win does. This is definitely one that I would consider trading again. So closed out Win. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, I took some, in the beginning of the day, I took some Apple puts as a hedge, just in case we got one of those days where, Tech really just falls apart again. So I picked those up for $8.02. I ended up stopping out of those later in the day. It's one of those things where it's like, the Qs are showing relative weakness, but I don't want to. There's this saying like, don't short a boring market. And the Qs, although they gave some back, what I noticed was like this VXN, the volatility of NASDAQ. Let's see where it closed. Yeah, VXN closed off 2%. So it's not really like if you're bearish on something, the volatility coming out of it, then not really getting any follow through. It's not really what you want to see. I ended up taking some GM calls, these June 18th 55 strikes. This one I really like the pattern here. We'll see if it gets any follow through. But this one, take a look. Yeah, it closed pretty well too. So if we look at GM, it's been hitting up against this, 57 level. This is actually its third time butting up against it. And you can see a nice breakout out of this monthly value area. So I entered, on the back of a large call buyer, some 55 strike calls for June. So this one shaping up really nicely. We'll have to see what happens with that one. And then what else did I do here? Yeah, really just to clean up. I took off the rest of my TLT hedge. So I had closed, a third of it maybe like a week ago. Another third, I think, maybe 2 trading days ago. So I took 2 targets in this one. The final piece I took off for $195. I had paid $1.83 for that. And really, we had a nice treasury auction today. And you can see that TLT ended up catching a little bit of a bid. So you can see, 0.2%. And yeah, I don't really see like the imminent threat of, rates just falling, off a cliff in terms of like yield spiking and all that. I definitely think, this was like the huge move. Now we're just kind of consolidating here for TLT. So yeah, I took that off for a small winner. Then what else did we have? Yes, we had the GM, we had the Apple. Yeah, so just wanted to clean things up a little bit. And then for some stock trading, I have this stock XPEL, really nice cyclicals play. I had taken a target on this one yesterday at $53.50. I took another target at $54.90, and I left on like a small piece. I had paid $51.93 for that. Crocs, in the morning as well, I took a target in Crocs. This one, it has a really nice chart. I actually want to take a look. I took a third of it off for $80.79. I had paid $77.58. So nice action right there. Let's see. I want to see how Crocs closed. Yeah, and Crocs actually, retraced the move. Wow, yeah. So Crocs, that high that pretty much I sold at, met with some sellers. So yeah, I'm glad I took a target there. So that's the good thing about, taking targets where, you hit resistance, you take your target, and then in doing so, you free yourself up where like, you could potentially add to the position lower. And it's just a good way of trading around positions. Same thing also by taking a target. It's essentially lowering your cost basis for the rest of your shares. So you have a little bit more cushion knowing, hey, I took some off higher. So yeah, that worked out. I tried trading Rocket today. This one, it was making a big move, and I was like, okay, maybe this one will just make like a crazy like meme stock run. So I entered this one. I was like, you know what, I'm going to enter, just make sure that I know where my stop is. And I entered, somewhere up here, and pretty much as soon as I did, GameStop really just like fell off a cliff. So GameStop, it was trading to like a ridiculous level up here. And then this one just like torpedoed down. It sort of brought a Rocket with it. So I stopped out of my Rocket shares. But that's okay. That one, really quick trade. Yeah, I entered that. I stopped out like 5 minutes later. Paid $28.23, stopped out for $26.65. And then I took a starter in Roblox, the IPO. So I said I'm going to take a starter position at Roblox, give myself room to add. So Roblox, it definitely has a pretty cool business model in my opinion. It reminds me of like Twitter, with creating like written content. And then you have all these content creators. Same thing with YouTube for videos. You have all these content creators. With Roblox, it's creating video games, and you have content creators with the video games. So I added a really small starter position. What I want to do is leg into Roblox. So I added about a fourth of what I would like to add. I added it around 72.50. What I would like to do is over the next couple of days, just kind of pepper this thing with buy orders. That's what I do a lot of times, like for SPACs, just split your order into a couple pieces, because like something like this, it's an IPO, it's going to be really volatile. So it's like, you never know if you're going to like buy the, the all-time high on day one, or if it's just going to like rocket higher. So yeah, for this one, I was like, I'll put my first little piece on. But we'll see what happens with Roblox. This one, I added a little bit to my IRA as well. This is one that I just want to, hold on to for as long as I can, just kind of see what happens with it. So that about does it for my trades for today. Let's take a quick look at some options order flow here. Yes, let's take a look. One thing I noticed, we did have a lot of Tesla activity. And I still have my Tesla call spread on from yesterday. I had the 620 by 630 call spread. It expires this Friday. You can see a lot of call activity for Tesla, which is unusual. We've been seeing a lot of put activity for Tesla. What I notice is a lot of times when those call buyers, take control, that's when you can have those crazy moves in this stock. So if you look, this is pretty interesting. Tesla, somebody was asking me this morning in our pre-market session, where's resistance for Tesla? And you can see this monthly value area low here at about $720. It coincided with the 20-day simple moving average as well. Tesla made it up to that level, and then it was sort of, sold off throughout the day. So we'll have to see with some of these names. Do they, it rallied up to the 20-day, now it's going to really roll over? Or do we just kind of put a sideways base in and then work our way into the value area? Same thing like if we look at Zoom. Depending on what you were trading, today could have been like a really easy day or a really difficult day. So like I was looking at Zoom as well, eyeing this one up for a potential short. Zoom, same deal as Tesla. It knocked into that monthly value area and then just sort of, fell apart from there. So with these growth stocks, it's still very challenging. So I'll have to see what happens with those. Yeah, some names like Alteryx. This one was on our Pristine Capital watch list as a short. This one had a little rally, but then sure enough, came back to earth, closed down 3.63%. So yeah, in terms of these growth names, they got a really nice bounce the other day, but it seems like we're in a market environment where it's been paying to buy the dips and sell the rips. I noticed like where people are getting most in trouble is, they're buying the rips, and that was working really well when we were in a nice trending market. Now that we're getting a lot of give back between growth and value, and the growth names, a lot of them are still in downtrends, it's a little bit tougher to be, buying rips. And then what else do we have here? We had a lot of activity today. Those GameStop call buyers coming in. We had a lot of SPY activity, a lot of bullish activity in SPY. So you can see these calls are for December of 2022. They're 340 strike calls, pretty deep in the money. Looks like a stock replacement play. We had some activity for Palantir, Deere as well. Deere is another one of these more value stocks that has been on a really nice run. Yeah, so Deere looking really nice. We have room to this upper Bollinger Band at around $375. Dkng was another one that had a really nice run today. I took a target for half of my position maybe like a week or so ago, probably on one of these candles right here. Still have half my position on. And today I was considering taking a target or just closing out the other half. But this is definitely one of the leading stocks in the market right now, so I figured I would give it a little bit more leeway. And let's see what else we had here. Oh yeah, really quick, I'll leave you all with this before we break here. Yeah, this is the ratio between the IWO and IWN, and you can see we're still coming down here. So, if this ratio were to fully normalize, we have a ways to go. Typically, these things don't move in a straight line, though. But right now, really the growth stocks are still kind of just like muddling around, and we're seeing nice breakouts in a lot of these value names. So, like one I was looking at today, I didn't put this one on, but Mosaic. Look at this one, closed on the highs. Looks really strong. I posted this one earlier where we had LOB, which is a regional bank, close up, almost 5%. This one also is in a really nice pattern. One of our members brought this one up, PHM. So we can really see which stocks are making new highs and looking really positive and which ones are not. So for now, we'll just have to see what the river brings. But coming into tomorrow's session, definitely want to be focused on these value names and just be a little bit more selective in terms of the growth names. I don't really want to go after the ones that are, still falling off a cliff, so to speak. With that being said, I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you all tomorrow.